Have you ever felt a powerful impulse within yourself, an energy that seemed to hold immense potential, but that no one ever taught you how to use? What if I told you that there is a secret, ancestral force inside your body which, once understood and transmuted, can become the key to unlimited creativity, personal magnetism, spiritual clarity, and even financial success? Most people have never heard of sexual transmutation, but this practice, guarded by masters of ancient traditions, was regarded as a gateway to inner awakening. Sexual energy is far more than mere physical pleasure. It is a pure manifestation of vital force. In this video, you will discover how to channel it, awaken it, and use it to transform your life completely. And to begin with the right vibration, write in the comments below, "I awaken the creative force within me." This will activate your intention and open pathways both within and around you. Few names have gone as far in the study of human consciousness as Jacobo Grinberg. His research bridged science and spirituality at a point that few dared to explore: the mind as an active creator of reality. Grinberg believed in a neuronal field capable of shaping the world around us according to what we feel, think, and, above all, the energy we generate within ourselves. That is precisely where sexual energy comes into play. This force, repressed or misunderstood by many cultures, is, according to millennia-old traditions, the most potent fuel of human existence. Texts from Tantra, Taoism, and alchemy describe this energy as a bridge between the physical and the divine, between instinct and illumination. But this is not an idea lost to time. Great minds like Nikola Tesla, Leonardo da Vinci, and Napoleon Hill understood that to master sexual energy was to master oneself. Hill even wrote that every successful man he studied shared the ability to transmute their sexual energy into driving force, creativity, and achievement. Today, with advances in neuroscience and quantum physics, these ideas receive technical backing, revealing that sexual energy is not taboo, it is power. And now you're about to learn how to use it. Too often, sexual energy is reduced to a physical act, a momentary thrill, bodily excitement. But this limited view conceals one of the greatest secrets of human existence. Sexual energy is, in fact, life's creative force. The same energy that generates a new human being can be channeled to create ideas, transform behaviors, manifest goals, and awaken elevated states of consciousness. At its deepest level, this is vital energy, called Kundalini in Indian traditions, Chi by Taoists, and Ruach in Hebrew scriptures. It is the foundation of existence, the creative fire that sustains all forms of life. Located at the base of the spine, in the lower energy centers known as chakras, it has the potential to rise through the entire nervous system to the higher centers, awakening intelligence, intuition, mental clarity, personal magnetism, and even profound spiritual experiences. The problem is that, because we don't know how to work with it, this creative force is constantly wasted. Each time it is released unconsciously, without intention or connection, a portion of our creative power dissipates. The result: fatigue, lack of motivation, poor focus, anxiety, and a feeling of emptiness. It's like having an internal power plant and using it only to light a bulb for a few seconds. But when this energy is preserved, cultivated, and, above all, redirected, it becomes pure, internal alchemy. This practice is known as sexual transmutation, the conscious redirection of sexual energy into other areas of life. It isn't about repression, but elevation. It's about understanding that the sexual impulse is the beginning of something much greater, an explosion of creativity, an expansion of the body's electromagnetic field, a vibrational acceleration capable of altering not only your inner state, but the very reality around you. This energy influences your charisma, your decisiveness, your ability to create projects, and even your presence in front of others. Men and women who learn to master this force stop living at the mercy of fleeting desires and begin to use that potential as a bridge to purpose, prosperity, and evolution. They become more magnetic, more determined, more creative, because they are fueling their actions with the universe's most powerful source, the energy of creation. Everything you seek in the external world, recognition, love, abundance, clarity, already exists within you, latent, stored in this vital force. What's missing is the knowledge to activate it and direct it. And that is precisely what you are about to learn. Long before modern science even began to investigate the mind's and energy's secrets, millennia-old spiritual traditions already knew and applied the power of sexual transmutation. Across the world, masters and initiates understood that sexual energy was not something to be repressed or indulged instinctively, but rather to be cultivated, refined, and channeled toward exalted ends, whether for spiritual illumination, physical healing, or remarkable achievements in the material world. In Tantra, an ancient Indian tradition, sex was never taboo. On the contrary, it was seen as a sacred portal for expanding consciousness. But Tantra's focus was never pleasure for pleasure's sake. It was the awakening of Kundalini, the dormant energy at the base of the spine. When properly activated, this energy rises through the body's energy centers, the chakras, uniting the physical with the spiritual, instinct with the divine. Advanced practitioners could withhold physical climax and transform excitement into spiritual ecstasy. There was no waste, only elevation. In ancient China, Taoist masters like Mantak Chia taught practices known as cultivating sexual energy, or Jing Qi. Sexual energy was seen as one of the three treasures of the human body, alongside vital energy, Qi, and spiritual energy, Shen. For Taoists, constant ejaculation in men, or unconscious dispersion of sexual energy in women, meant wasting life force. Breathing techniques, muscle contractions, and visualization were used to guide this energy up the spine to the brain, where it transformed into mental clarity, longevity, and spiritual power. This process was called the microcosmic orbit, and many believed spiritual immortality was possible only for those who mastered it. In Western alchemy, the symbol of sexual fire also appears, but in coded form. Alchemists spoke of the prima materia that needed to be purified by fire to become gold, a clear metaphor for raw sexual energy meant to be sublimated and transmuted into higher consciousness. The alchemical marriage between the internal masculine and feminine was described as an essential step for the birth of the new being, one's enlightened version. Few realized these texts actually spoke of internal processes rather than external manipulations of substances. All these traditions pointed to the same truth. Whoever masters their sexual energy masters their destiny. It's not about celibacy, denial, or moral rigidity, but about awareness, direction, and mastery over one's own nature. These teachings did not die out. They were hidden, disguised, ridiculed, but now they are resurging because we live in an age where information is accessible and inner awakening is more necessary than ever. The question is, are you ready to live with the same power as the ancient masters? Throughout history, men and women who left extraordinary legacies had something in common beyond talent, effort, or genius. They understood the hidden power of sexual energy and knew how to transmute it. What many call divine inspiration or genius intuition is actually the manifestation of an elevated mind, fueled by an inner energy that few know how to use consciously. Napoleon Hill, author of the classic Think and Grow Rich, spent over 20 years studying the lives of the most successful men of his era. In his book, he dedicated an entire chapter to sexual transmutation, affirming that all the great leaders, inventors, and entrepreneurs he interviewed used this energy as the driving force behind their achievements. According to Hill, sexual desire is the most powerful human impulse, and when not released physically, but redirected into creative action, it becomes fuel for ideas, courage, magnetism, and accomplishment. He was emphatic: no man can achieve complete success who does not learn to transmute his sexual energy. Nikola Tesla, one of history's greatest inventors, said his decision to remain celibate was not moralistic, but energy-saving. He believed his genius came from channeling all his vital energy into his creations. Tesla argued that sex reduced his focus and dissipated his mental energy, so he chose to conserve his inner force as the source of revolutionary inventions. Leonardo da Vinci, the Renaissance artist and inventor, is also often cited as someone who channeled his sexual energy into works of art, scientific discoveries, and complex constructions. Historical records indicate he avoided prolonged intimate relationships, dedicating himself fully to his creations. Many scholars believe his extraordinary productivity and depth were directly tied to his ability to sublimated energy. And it's not only ancient figures or eccentric geniuses. In sports, the arts, and business, references to the power of conscious abstinence or sublimation abound. Elite boxers like Muhammad Ali avoided sex before fights to preserve their strength. Olympic athletes and Tibetan monks share similar practices, understanding that accumulated and transmuted sexual energy enhances focus, discipline, and perception. These examples show that mastering sexual energy is a turning point. It's not about rejecting sex or pleasure, but about knowing when, how, and why to use that force. While most people waste it unconsciously, those who master it build lasting legacies. They live in a state of elevated vibration, with clarity, presence, and personal power above the average. These minds were not born special. They learned to use what we all already have inside. And you can do the same. For centuries, knowledge of sexual energy was kept within spiritual traditions or hidden behind esoteric symbolism. But today, neuroscience begins to confirm what ancient masters always knew. There is a direct link between how we handle our sexual energy and our mental, emotional, and even physical performance. And the name of that link is dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, and reward. Whenever you engage in an activity that offers immediate gratification, like social media, ultra-processed food, or pornography, your brain releases dopamine. But what many overlook is that constant, unregulated release of this neurotransmitter causes a collapse in motivation. The brain, addicted to peaks of pleasure, loses its capacity to focus on deeper tasks and long-term rewards. This is where sexual transmutation enters the scientific picture. When you avoid the compulsive release of sexual energy, whether through purposeless masturbation or disconnected relationships, your brain begins to rebalance its dopamine levels. In other words, you reclaim control over your motivation and focus. The desire that once sought instant pleasure is rerouted toward greater goals. It's as if the accumulated energy finds a new course, fueling your ambition, creativity, and discipline. Studies show that periods of energetic retention, especially in men, are linked to increased testosterone levels, the hormone that regulates strength, focus, clarity, and motivation. Moreover, activity in the prefrontal cortex, responsible for complex decisions, self-control, and strategic vision, strengthens. This means that instead of living in impulsive cycles of pleasure and guilt, you begin to live in a state of continuous clarity and presence. Another area impacted is the brain's reward system. Sexual transmutation teaches the brain to seek satisfaction in real achievements, projects, authentic connections, personal development, instead of empty, instant gratifications. This changes how you face challenges. What once felt exhausting becomes stimulating. What once generated resistance now generates enthusiasm. Researchers also point to significant changes in the autonomic nervous system. The practice of conscious breathing and sexual energy redirection activates the parasympathetic system, responsible for deep relaxation and regeneration. This explains why practitioners of retention and transmutation report greater emotional stability, less anxiety, improved sleep, and increased overall well-being. In other words, transmuting your sexual energy is not mysticism, it's applied neuroscience. What changes is not only your energy, but your entire mental and emotional processing system. You literally rebuild yourself into a new operating pattern. And this is just the beginning. When you learn to align intention, emotion, and direction, your mind becomes an antenna for what you most desire, and your body, a pure channel of realization. Knowing that you possess a powerful internal energy is the first step. Understanding how to direct it is the second. But it is in the third step, applying this knowledge in daily life, that true transformation happens. Sexual transmutation is not a distant philosophical concept. It is a real, accessible, and revolutionary practice that can be incorporated into your routine in a way that is simple yet profound. The first stage is to cultivate awareness of your impulses. Modern humans live anesthetized by stimuli. Notifications, explicit images, instant gratifications, all of this drains your creative energy. Observing when sexual energy arises is essential, not to repress desire, but to redirect it. Whenever this impulse emerges, take a deep breath and ask yourself, how can I use this force to create something today? Conscious breathing is one of the most effective tools for transmutation. As you inhale deeply, visualize this energy rising up your spine, passing through your body's power centers, from the base all the way to the crown of your head. This is not empty imagination. It is a neurological and energetic activation. The brain, when visualizing with clarity and intention, reacts as if the experience were real. The more you train this practice, the more natural it becomes, and the more vitality you preserve. Another powerful habit is creative channeling. Whenever you feel accumulated energy, direct it toward creation. Write, draw, meditate, plan a new project, organize your life. Unchanneled sexual energy becomes anxiety, irritation, or uncontrolled desire. But when you channel it, it becomes creative potency. Great artists, writers, and entrepreneurs report that their most productive moments came after periods of energetic retention and focus. Transmutation also requires mental reprogramming. This means replacing automatic habits with conscious attitudes. If your impulse is to consume pornography, for example, pause and reflect. Am I feeding my force or draining my energy? Create a new pattern. Link the impulse to action. Whenever you feel the urge, do something that contributes to your growth. This simple change, of course, forges new neural pathways and strengthens your self-control. Additionally, nourish yourself with content that reinforces this new way of living. Read about ancient masters, learn about the physiology of energy, connect with people who are also awakening. This strengthens your vibrational field and lifts you out of relapse cycles. Finally, practice gratitude and purpose. Sexual energy need not be denied. It needs to be consecrated. Upon waking, set a clear intention. Today, I channel my energy toward what brings me closer to my purpose. At the end of the day, give thanks for the strength you've cultivated and the progress you've chosen. This simple act reinforces your new identity. Living sexual transmutation is living with awareness. It means trading impulses for creation, distractions for direction, momentary pleasure for lasting purpose. And when this becomes natural, life changes completely. Now that you've discovered the secret of sexual energy, this creative force that has always been within you, the real power is in your hands. Knowledge alone is potential, but practice is transformation. You've learned that this energy can be directed toward your creativity, your purpose, your spiritual growth, and even your prosperity. You've learned that great masters, scientists, and sages across cultures mastered this flow and used it to create extraordinary lives. And that, with the right practices, you can do the same. So today I invite you to apply what you've learned. Choose a practice, a breathing exercise, a conscious decision. When you feel the impulse, turn it into action. Channel your energy, create, evolve. And if this content has stirred something in you, if it resonated in your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who also needs to awaken this force. Subscribe to the channel, because here you will continue to find guides, reflections, and tools for your personal and spiritual growth. And before you go, tell me in the comments, I transmute my energy and create my new self. This phrase could be the first step toward a new reality. Are you ready to live it? Because now you know how.